at 35, and I signed a paper that ended a chapter I once thought would last forever. Divorce at 35 is different. You're not young and careless. You're not old and detached. You're in the middle, where dreams and reality collide. Friends don't know what to say. Family either blames you or pities you. Society quietly judges you. And the worst part, you judge yourself. You replay every argument, every mistake, every what if? Could I have tried harder? Could I have loved better? Could I have stayed silent one more time? But here's the truth. No one talks about divorced, such a heavy word. It sounds like failure. It feels like breaking. It echoes in empty rooms. At 25, I believed in forever. At 30, I believed in fixing things. At 35, I learned that sometimes walking away is the bravest thing you can do. No one prepares you for this part. They show you wedding highlights. They show you couple goals. They show you anniversaries, vacations, smiling pictures. They don't show you the silent dinners, the long nights staring at the ceiling, the feeling of sleeping next to someone, yet feeling completely alone. But here's the truth no one talks about. Staying unhappy is not loyalty. Sacrificing your peace is not maturity. And breaking yourself to keep something together is not love. At 35, divorce doesn't just end a marriage. It shatters your identity. You're no longer husband, no longer wife. You're just you. And for a while, that feels terrifying. Who am I without this title? Who am I without this person? What does life even look like now? Mornings feel strange. The house feels bigger. The silence feels louder. You scroll through old pictures. You remember the laughter. You forget the pain. Memory has a funny way of editing reality. But healing begins the moment you stop romanticizing what broke you. At 35, I realized something powerful. Divorce is not the end of life. It's the end of pretending. Pretending everything is fine. Pretending you're not exhausted. Pretending love still lives where it quietly died. And yes, it hurts. It hurts when people ask, what happened? It hurts when invitations come addressed to couples. It hurts watching others build what you couldn't sustain. But pain is not proof of failure. Pain is proof that you cared. And caring deeply is never a weakness. Here's what divorce at 35 teaches you. It teaches you self-respect. It teaches you boundaries. It teaches you that love without peace is chaos. It forces you to sit with yourself, to confront your flaws, to admit your part, because divorce is rarely one villain and one victim. It's two imperfect humans who tried and couldn't make it work, and that's okay. You're allowed to outgrow people. You're allowed to change. You're allowed to choose happiness, even if it disappoints others. The hardest nights are the lonely ones. When the bed feels too big, when your thoughts get too loud, when you question if you'll ever love again. But something beautiful starts happening too. You rediscover yourself. You remember the hobbies you stopped, the dreams you postponed, the version of you that existed before compromise became survival. At 35, divorced, I stopped asking, why did this happen to me? And started asking, what is this preparing me for? Growth doesn't come wrapped in comfort. It comes wrapped in heartbreak, in silence, in rebuilding. You learn to cook for one, to travel alone, to enjoy your own company. You learn that being alone is different from being lonely. And slowly, very slowly, you begin to breathe again. Confidence returns in small doses. A new haircut, a solo coffee date, a gym membership, a new skill, tiny victories, quiet strength. And one day, you wake up and realize you're not broken. You're rebuilding. Divorce at 35 is not a deadline. It's not a label. It's not a life sentence. It's a turning point. Some people will remarry. Some will stay single. Some will take years to trust again. There is no right timeline, but there is one truth. You deserve peace. Not drama, not constant conflict, not emotional exhaustion, peace. And if divorce was the price of that peace, maybe it wasn't a loss. Maybe it was liberation. Yes, there are lessons. Yes, there are lessons. Yes, there are regrets. But there is also wisdom. You now know what you need. You now know what you won't tolerate. You now know that love without respect is temporary. At 35, divorced, I am not ashamed. I am not defeated. I am not a failure. I am experienced. I am wiser. I am stronger than I ever imagined. Life didn't end, it shifted. And sometimes what feels like the end is actually the beginning of a more honest life. So if you're 35 and divorced, breathe. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming. And maybe Simharet, just maybe Ares and Duff. This chapter isn't about losing someone. It's about finally finding yourself. There was one night, I remember it clearly. It was 2:17 a.m. The house was silent, too silent. I was sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall where our wedding photo used to hang. The nail was still there, but the frame was gone. Funny how small, empty spaces can feel so loud. I didn't cry that night. I'm hungry, not hopeful, just empty. That's the part people don't talk about after divorce. It's not always screaming and dramatic fights. Sometimes it's just quiet acceptance that something beautiful has quietly died. I walked into the kitchen and poured a glass of water. The same kitchen where we once laughed over burnt toast, where we planned vacations, where we argued about money, where we stopped talking altogether. It's strange how memories live inside walls. At 35, I thought I would have it all figured out. Stable marriage, maybe kids, clear direction. Instead, I had court dates, paperwork, and a future that felt like fog. And the hardest part, explaining it to people. Things just didn't work out. That's what I would say. But how do you explain emotional distance? How do you explain loving someone, but no longer feeling safe with them? How do you explain that you both tried and still failed? Some nights I blamed them. Some nights I blamed myself. But most nights, I just missed who we used to be. I missed the early days, the way we couldn't stop talking, the way small things felt magical, the way we promised no matter what. No one gets married planning for divorce. We all walk in believing we'll be different, stronger, more patient, more understanding. But life changes people. Stress changes people. Silence changes people. And sometimes two good people simply grow in different directions. There was a moment, a small, almost invisible moment, when I realized it was over. Not legally, not officially, emotionally. We were sitting in the same room, but felt like strangers. No anger, no passion. Just distance. And distance is more dangerous than conflict, because conflict means you still care. Distance means you've already started letting go. After the papers were signed, something unexpected happened. I felt relief, and that scared me. How could I feel relief after losing something I once begged God to protect? But relief is honest. Relief means the tension is gone. The walking on eggshells is over. The pretending has ended. Still, healing wasn't immediate. The first family gathering alone felt humiliating. People looked at me differently. Some with sympathy. Some with curiosity. Some with silent judgment. As if divorce was contagious. As if I had failed some invisible life exam, I started avoiding social events, avoiding questions, avoiding conversations that started with, "So what happened?" Instead, I spent time alone. Long walks, late night drives, sitting in cafes pretending to read. But something shifted during those quiet moments. For the first time in years, I started listening to myself. Not my partner's needs, not society's expectations, not family pressure, just my own voice. And do you know what I realized? I had ignored myself for a long time. I had compromised beyond healthy limits. I had tolerated things that slowly chipped away at my confidence. Not because I was weak, but because I believed love meant endurance. But love without respect becomes self-abandonment. That realization hurt more than the divorce itself. I wasn't just grieving a relationship. I was grieving the version of me that kept shrinking to make it work. There was one evening, about 3 months after everything ended, when I looked in the mirror and barely recognized myself. Not physically, internally. Who was I now? Single at 35, starting over, answering awkward questions, rebuilding routines. But then another thought came. What if this isn't starting over? What if this is starting honestly? For years I had been surviving. Now, I had a chance to live intentionally. I signed up for therapy, not because I was broken, but because I wanted to understand my patterns. I started exercising again, not to impress anyone, but to feel strong in my own body. I reconnected with old friends I had drifted away from, not because I needed distraction, but because I needed authenticity. Slowly the shame faded, and clarity replaced it. Divorce didn't ruin my life. It revealed it. It showed me where I was settling, where I was afraid, where I was avoiding hard truths. And here's something powerful I learned. You can love someone deeply and still not be meant to stay. Love alone doesn't fix incompatibility. It doesn't erase emotional neglect. It doesn't guarantee growth. And that realization doesn't make you cold. It makes you mature. Now, when I think about my marriage, I don't feel rage. I feel gratitude. It taught me patience. It taught me communication. It taught me what I need in a partner. And most importantly, it taught me that I deserve a relationship where I don't feel alone. At 35, divorced, sitting in that quiet house, I thought I had lost everything. But standing here now, stronger, calmer, clearer, I realize I didn't lose everything. I lost what wasn't meant to stay. And sometimes losing what breaks you is the first step toward becoming whole.